This is what happens when the Democrats govern. The country literally goes on fire. These radical lefty nut jobs are the reason why the city's on fire, and it's still not out yet.
The fires in LA, they obviously have political consequences. Lots of people are criticizing the mayor of LA, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, and President Trump, or President-elect Trump, I should say, has also criticized Biden. What do you think of the political implications of the fire?
Yeah, this is Democrat mismanagement on display. I just want to say at the outset here, our company headquarters is in Los Angeles. One of our top folks at Breitbart, John Kahn, who's our COO here at Breitbart, he's also an award-winning songwriter who wrote the #1 hit song Fighter, which was about President Trump. His home was totally destroyed in this whole thing. Other folks at Breitbart have had major problems with their houses, and so this is like a deeply personal story to us at Breitbart. I personally don't live in LA. I live in Florida, and kind of back and forth between Florida and DC. But our company headquarters is there because Andrew Breitbart believed that it should be, our founder, and he believed that politics is downstream from culture. That's why we have such a focus on Los Angeles, because that's where all the movie stars and the entertainment industry is headquartered in. Frankly, you see a lot of different people that are in that industry that are deeply personally affected by this. So a lot of people have lost their homes. This is one of the most damaging fires if not the most damaging fire in California history, and the amount of property damage is going to be through the roof. And again, this all could have been prevented had they implemented the correct policies with regard to water management, with regard to fire management and prevention, right? Like the controlled burns that we've talked about that the Democrats just seem, for whatever reason, to just be against doing. And the water management issues, Gavin Newsom getting rid of dams that would have allowed water to flow to these areas, with blocking the efforts to bring water from Northern California to Southern California, and then obviously you have the mayor there. She was often gallivanting around Africa, for attending the inauguration of the president of Ghana. What? Like, why? Like, why was she there to begin with? There's no reason for the mayor of Los Angeles to be in Ghana, period, right? Like, ever, right? Like, never mind during this. And so as soon as this started happening, even if she was going there, she should have turned right around and come straight back. She didn't. She waited a whole day or so. But the fact is that, and then you had Gavin Newsom out there praising her for being so great in her response to this in his public remark. I mean, this is what one-party rule looks like. This is what happens when the Democrats govern. The country literally goes on fire. And so, this is serious stuff. And by the way, not to mention the fact we didn't even get into the insurance issues. The Democrat policies in California, where they've started capping insurance premiums, what ended up happening as a result of that, people would just forego buying fire insurance because of the way that the Democrats did this. And so then a lot of these people don't have fire insurance. Some do, some don't. This is going to be one of the long-term damage here is just going to be catastrophic. And, hopefully people start considering voting for people other than Democrats as a result of this. This is what happens when you vote for Democrats. Your house burns down, right? It's that simple.
Well, the Democrats would argue that this is to do with climate change, and maybe you can comment on that. But I just want to ask briefly about this issue of the fact there was a lack of water in the fire hydrants whilst the firefighters were trying to tackle some of these blazes. It seems extraordinary that they could run out of water so quickly. Gavin Newsom was asked about this, and he said it was up to local officials. He basically washed his hands of it, if you don't mind, pardon the pun, but he didn't even take any responsibility for that. Can you just talk about the fact that there was a lack of water and how Gavin Newsom has responded to this?
Yeah, well, first off, the claim that it's climate change is just bogus nonsense, right? Again, in other parts of the country where you have similar climate, you don't see similar problems. Why? Because there isn't one-party Democratic rule everywhere, right? Like there is in California. That being said, regarding the water, first off, you started at the very outset of this whole thing. The media, the establishment media, Democrats, etc., were trying to claim that, oh no, it's fake news. We gotta fact check that. There's not, no water in the fire hydrants, and they were going after Rick Caruso, the guy who ran for mayor against Karen Bass, for saying that. And then all of a sudden, their own reporters, I saw this one clip of this local TV outlet where this one anchor is saying that Caruso was lying about that, and then like a second later, their own reporter confirmed it. Right, like, and confirmed that it wasn't water in the hydrants. So from what I understand, it's that they didn't fill the reservoirs. They didn't, and again, the water management thing is a major issue in big cities like this, and that they've got to plan this stuff. So that's why the dams were important. The dams that Gavin Newsom broke up to go to hand the rivers back to the Native Americans. Again, nobody's got anything against the Native Americans here, but again, we're talking about a major city, Los Angeles, where millions of people live. And it's a major hub of commerce. You have to have a plan for water. And then also President Trump had tried at the end of his first term to do a water management plan to ship water from Northern California down to Southern California, and it would have worked. But Gavin Newsom spent all of his time Trump-proofing California rather than fireproofing California, right? Like, it would seem like the priority should be on stopping fires, not stopping Trump. And their obsession with Donald Trump has led us to this point, right? Like, so what they should be doing here moving forward, I hope that this is a lesson that everybody on the Democrat side takes away from this, is that they change their ways and they stop doing this nonsense. And we are seeing some positive stuff in the U.S. Senate where they're dropping some of their nonsense with regard to the open borders and whatnot. The Laken Riley Act looks like it might pass, actually, with some Democrat support. So that's positive. And so maybe there's hope yet for the Democrats. But at this point, these radical lefty nut jobs are the reason why the city's on fire, and it's still not out yet.
The mayor also cut $17 million from the fire department, and whilst at the same time spending more than $21 million on illegal migrants. And there was also this debate around DEI, that's diversity, equality and inclusion, how that impacted the local fire department. Again, there's been these initiatives to increase the number of women firefighters, and I think the head of that department, or very senior person within the department, is like a lesbian progressive firefighter. Maybe we should be focusing on, the people who are best at putting out fires, i.e. the strongest people, i.e. men, rather than trying to promote DEI.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's an excellent point that you raised. And I also saw a report that, and I know this was a couple years ago, like 2022 or something, but the LA Fire Department shipped a whole bunch of their supposedly surplus materials over to Ukraine. Right? Like, again, why are they doing that? Right? They could probably be using that stuff right now. I don't know exactly what they gave the Ukrainians and whatever, but the point is that their priorities are all out of whack, and it's kind of interesting to see in the wake of those reports. I think I saw something come out yesterday that the fire chief sent a letter to the mayor not that long ago, I think in November, warning that this kind of a thing could happen if they didn't have the resources that she cut from their budget. And that seems like kind of like CYA, right? Like, you've got a little bit of the fire chief's probably leaking that letter to cover, for herself in response to all this criticism that they're both getting, but rightfully so. Again, maybe the fire chief should be focused on fighting fires and not on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and trying to pad the ranks of the fire department in Los Angeles with women and minorities and so on and so forth. Maybe just pad the ranks of the fire department with people that can fight fires, right? Like, and can do so effectively. That's the job here, right? We don't care if you're woman or black or Hispanic or Asian or gay or straight or whatever you are, right? Like, it doesn't matter as long as you can fight the fire. It's the same thing as like the pilots in the airlines, right? Like the airlines' obsessions with DEI. We don't care, what color, race, gender, creed. Doesn't matter to me what the pilot is, as long as the pilot can land the plane, right? Like, and, because we don't want to crash, right? Like, same thing here. We want to make sure that people can actually effectively fight the fires, right? Like, and again, when you elect these radical Democrats that are focused on all the wrong things, what ends up happening? The buildings go on fire and the planes don't land, don't take off on time, and if they do, they might have trouble landing. We'll put it that way. So like that's what happens when you're obsessed with this, diversity nonsense, right? Like, and so hopefully, again, we learn some of the right lessons from this, and maybe we'll bring some people in to these places to actually do the right things moving forward.
Was Trump right to make this political? I know Gavin Newsom has criticised him for politicising this tragedy in which more than 5 people have died, thousands of properties have been destroyed and so on. Trump criticised Biden in a Truth Social post. Was he right to politicise it in this way?
Yeah, 100%. I think that there's, without doubt, without question, this is the fault of people like Gavin Newsom and people like Karen Bass. It's not any one of their, and people like the fire chief, her name's escaping me, but the point is that all of these people did, some things leading up, policy-wise, leading up to this that caused this moment, if you will. Right? Like, so now I'm not saying that like Gavin Newsom is personally responsible, like negligent, criminally negligent homicide or something like that he should face criminal charges. No, like, but it's his policies that led to the lack of water in the region. It's the policies of Karen Bass that cut the resources to the fire department budget and focused on other things. It's the policies of the fire department chief that led to a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion and not on fighting fires, right? Like, so at a certain point, everything is political, right? Like, and so yes, Donald Trump is 100% right, and Trump has been speaking about exactly these issues for many years, right? Like he talked about it in his Joe Rogan interview a few weeks before the election. He talked about it. He's done press conferences. He was in California doing a press conference before the election talking about this. He's talked about it when he was president. He's, the first term. This is something that is a major issue. This is what government should be doing, right? Like, so basic social services, basic things like public safety, emergency services, etc. That's the role of the government, and we need to have a conversation about that, about what role does the government actually play in our lives, and in the question of, is the role of the government trying to push things like, radical social policy changes like DEI? No, like, I don't think so. And I think the voters rejected that at the ballot box nationally on November the 5th. But the question now is where do we go from here? And hopefully some of these people, and I know a bunch of Democrats, right? Like, I talked to a lot of Democrats, I talked to a lot of Republicans, right? Like, I hope that everybody takes the right lessons from these things and actually moves in the right direction. Maybe there's some good that comes of this, right? Like, maybe there's, that we stop this nonsense and actually start focusing on public policy that actually helps serve the interests of the people that these folks elect, right? Like, whether that's in Los Angeles or whether that's in Jacksonville, Florida, or whether that's in Washington, D.C. or New York City or anywhere, right? Like, it doesn't matter. This is the conversation that we should be having because this disaster was entirely preventable.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want to watch more content, please subscribe to our new GBN America YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.